Right, so as we were discussing, we go out on our surveys to measure for absolute height in many cases, in many other cases for drop, and those are probably the major reasons for a survey. But in addition to that, we sometimes need to find the summit position of a hill. And what I'll just describe in the next few sentences, how we go about doing that. There are several reasons why we might want to find the summit of a hill, and let's take sort of each of them in turn. Think of Milk Hill as an example. That is a very, very flat summit indeed, and to find the highest point of that is not a trivial exercise. So in that situation we have to lay out a grid of flags in much the same way as we do for a col, which we have described previously, and from that grid of flags determine the highest point. There's then another category of hill. For example, let's think of something like Kinder Scout, or perhaps many of the lower hills like the Deweys, where there are alternative summits, little humps and bumps, sometimes several of them, which you can identify from the map or you see on the ground, and you've got to try and decide which of those is the highest point. And you can do that very easily by setting up the level and the staff and putting the staff on the different summit positions and finding out directly which is the highest of all the potential ones. If those points are too far apart, then of course you would set up the GPS and you'd carry out a similar exercise with that. There is then the situation of a hill like, for example, a double-topped Marilyn. It's known that there are two summits, but the map can't give you the highest point, and you want to differentiate and find out which truly is the highest point. An example there would be Rhw Gyrraith in Wales, which we surveyed just a while ago. Those two tops were about 500-600 metres apart, and for those we carried out a line survey. And in that event we found out that one summit was actually just 7 centimetres higher than the other, so they can be very close indeed. So we have all of these different categories of hills, and depending upon the characteristics of the hill, the different methods that we've just outlined are the ones that you choose from in order to determine summit position.